Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we're going to be looking at the Flood Stalker. At least I think that's what it's called. It's been a while. With all the different flood types I might have gotten the name wrong, but you'll know by the title if I did or did not. So I think this is the Stalker. We're going to go with that for the review, and if it's different then look at the title and then you'll know what it is. Now the Floods aren't my favorite batch of figures from McFarlane. This one's actually not so bad, even though I hate the character model itself. The figure is done really well. It is part of the metal edition, so it comes with an incineration medal. He's actually quite large. From head to whatever you call that, he's about 5.5 inches, but if you look with all the limbs and everything, he really takes up a lot of space, and depending on how you pose him, he could take up even more. So he's a really big figure. I'm a big guy and he's bigger than my hand, so they did a pretty good job making him to scale, and the sculpt work throughout is done really well. He's just filled with texture and nooks and crannies and all kinds of weird stuff. So they did a good job. The paint could have been a little better. It's basically this brownish dry brushing with greenish dry brushing. It's not quite even everywhere, but it's pretty good. Then he has the little flower things that stick out. They did a good job with that too. So I mean, it's a fine figure. If you like the Flood, or the Floods as I like to call them, you'll like this figure. I'm not a big fan of this particular version, so I'm not a huge fan of the figure, but that's not the figure's fault. So let's look at the articulation. If I can get everything, I might forget parts of it. Start with the arms because that's easy. There's a wrist swivel right there and a hinge, so lots of points of articulation on this guy. An elbow pivot, the ball hinge shoulders, so they have the hinge there, and then they swivel as well. The head is on an old school ball joint, I believe. I don't think it has any ratchet in there, so I think it just lets you pivot it if you want to. So that's pretty much restricted by the neck, but it is there. The hips, or whatever you want to call them, are the same as the front shoulders, assuming it's got legs and arms standing that way. So these would be the hips. They're ball hinges, so they swivel and hinge. The knees have a pivot there, no rotation in it, just the pivot. Then there's a swivel here for this ankle, if you want to call it that, plus the pivot. That does it for the legs. And then the torso, the back torso, is an old school ball hinge. So I guess it wasn't that bad. I thought it had a little more to it, but it doesn't. So that swivels and has some posability due to it being a ball peg, but it's fairly limited. So is it a good figure? I don't know. It's got a couple pegs in its feet. I don't know what you would need those for, but if you wanted to, you could put something in the feet and it'll be a peg. But it's okay. I mean, it looks like it's supposed to. It looks like the fit character in the game, but it's just kind of a bland figure for me, and I don't know. I can't say I really recommend it. These were peg warmers around here. I don't know about everywhere else, but nobody really seemed to care for these. I would have much rather had the brutes or the elites that had been converted, rather than whatever these are supposed to be, the pure forms. I don't care for them. So I don't know. If you guys like it, get it. It's a good figure as it is. I just don't particularly care for it personally. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.